Thank you very much for everybody who's come today. You know, you and I couldn't be more different, all of us on this call, different countries, skin colors, nationalities, religions, all of that. But the difference between us is not only we look different, but the content of our memory is different. And because that's all we see, we think that's all there is. But deep down, all of us on this call, we are the same human being. And what we're going to try and do today on this call is introduce you to the Human Wisdom Project, which explores what it is to be human. What is our shared humanity that we share? And just like our heart works in the same way, but we don't see it, our minds work in the same way too, and we don't see that either. For example, you might be afraid of spiders, I'm afraid of the dark, but the nature of fear in both of us is the same. You might like fast cars, I like exotic holidays, but the nature of pleasure is the same. Whatever we get in our life, the day after we get it, it loses its luster and we need something more. And that's the nature of pleasure. It's in all human beings. But we don't see that. Just like the computer has an operating system, which the user doesn't see. We human beings have a mind that functions in the back that we don't realize. And what the Human Wisdom Project is trying to do is just to shine a light into an area which a lot of people are not aware of. And this awakens our own inner intelligence and allows us to live with wisdom. Let me give you a simple example of this in action and the potential implications of that in the world. What we're trying to do is really simple, but the implications are profound. Say you're born on this side of the street in Belfast, you're Catholic, the other side you're Protestant. You grow up hating each other. You never ask why. It could be Israel, Middle East, India, doesn't matter where. We never question what we think and why we think that way. But the minute I start asking, why do I hate someone I've never met? I realize I've been conditioned unconsciously by in all my experiences. And I wasn't aware of that. And yet I'm attached to that conditioning. The other person who I hate, who hates me, has got the same process going on in their thinking. They've also been conditioned. They're attached to their point of view. So when both of us meet and we realize, my God, deep down, we're the same human being, it just drops away. So this understanding has the potential to bring profound change. So I used to be a spine surgeon. I left that career 7 years ago. I wrote a book. I want to make the world a better place. That's my passion. And I want your help to do that because we're the same human being. We have a responsibility for this planet and for all the other human beings, particularly the poor who have no voice in the world. But at the moment, we human beings think only about ourselves. It's not a criticism. It's just the way our mind is wired. But if you live with this inner intelligence and wisdom, you also live with compassion. And that compassion extends out to everybody in the world. And so I've been talking to coaches around the world, sharing this idea, and we've had a lot of positive response. So we've developed an app, which I'm going to talk you through, and then I'm also going to address the subject of today's call, which is leadership. And I'll talk you through our leadership module as well. And at the end, I'll take 20 minutes to talk you through the app. We'll have time for questions. And I'll also talk you through our coaching program and how you can get involved in human wisdom. So let's begin by just sharing my screen and talking you through the app. The app is close to finishing. We're going to launch in a month or so. And if either me or Mudit don't have your email already, please put it on the chat so that we can. Okay, so this is a web app. You can see it on your laptop or it'll be downloadable on the phone from an app store. What we're saying is living with wisdom allows you to be a successful human being on the inside, and that also contributes to your success in the world. You see, every problem that we human beings face, which at the moment we don't have a solution for begins in our thinking. Whether it's stress and anxiety, or addiction, or relationship breakdown, or climate change, or racism, or prejudice, and it goes on and on, obesity. And so if we're going to address these, we need to go deeper to understand, hey, what's going on in my thinking that makes me or human beings behave in this way? Just like when a car doesn't work, you look at the engine to understand where the problem is. Once you understand, the solution is easy. The same here. Just as studying the heart helped us to prevent and overcome many problems linked to the heart, understanding the way our mind functions in the background can help us do the same. So this is a Netflix-style dashboard. It goes up and down and right to left. It's a subscription-based model. There's a lot on the app that's free. And so we have a wisdom story section, which has about 100 stories from around the world. And they're written by different people. This first one is about a 13-year-old boy who has a temper and whose grandfather helps him get over it. And then there's a little blurb from the team, and then you can go directly to the anger module and learn that there. Because human beings learn by stories. Stories are really powerful. We also learn by asking ourselves questions. So we have an online journal. So for example, we're going to ask people to reflect on questions. So this one, for example, is what made you happy today? Or what are you grateful for today? Or what did you learn about yourself today? And then through the app, we also ask people questions, and their answers come up here in their own private online journal. Now let's talk a little bit about the coaching program. So we're recruiting coaches who are already established from around the world. We have coaches in America, India, England, and Australia. And of course, we will extend. I think when Raymond and I spoke, we said, hey, what about the ASEAN countries? So we might have a team there too. So our users can press this button and they'll get a directory of coaches, and your name will be there. And to qualify as a human wisdom coach, you need to do a training program that we'll put on. It's free. Our aim, remember, is to help share this, spread this wisdom, and make the world a better place. Though it's a commercial project, just to allow the investment to come in so that we can expand. At the core, our goal is transformation of human beings or humanity at a large scale. You can set your own fee. We will take 25%, and you'll get 75%. And you can use this program in many different ways, either as an sort of adjunct to your coaching, or when you finish coaching a client. A lot of our coaches actually are planning to use it alongside their coaching practice. I'll also talk a little bit more about our affiliate scheme when I finish. And then we have a forum, a wisdom cafe, where users can come and talk to each other. It'll usually be moderated by one of our coaches, so it's a way of meeting new clients. You can track your progress, and we have a podcast section. And I do regular podcasts with the coaches on our program. Okay, so that's the introduction module to wisdom. So let's just look at what are the benefits of wisdom. David Attenborough, one of our great naturalists in the world, said, to continue, we human beings need more than intelligence. We require wisdom. So this wisdom is not only important for my personal happiness, it's also important for the future of humanity. If we're going to stop climate change or end war and all of that. And all that can come through this deeper understanding. Because after all, climate change is driven by human behavior, which is caused by human thinking. So if we understand the driver inside human thinking that causes us to behave in this way, to consume so much, for example, then we can change. But we have these mini podcast screens, for example, and you can also see the transcript of that. I'm going to send you all a link to this app. So these are some of the ways wisdom can change our lives. It can help all our relationships, because if I understand myself, I can understand you better. Helps me live without stress, because 90% of stress is how we react to an event. And where does that reaction come from? Well, it comes from our thinking. The same with anxiety and addiction, of course, is linked to our thinking, as is violence. We communicate so much better because we understand the process of listening, speaking, understanding, and so on. We can avoid disappointment, live with compassion, because as I said, you and I, we are the same human being. We all operate from our unconscious conditioning, our self-interest, and our fear. And it's the same the world over. A lot of people, of course, aren't aware of that. It allows us to accept ourselves as we are and live with peace and emotional intelligence. Okay, so we have a section here which is called Get Support Now. They're 10-minute long videos which help people, if they're acutely distressed, they can get support right now for their particular problem, whether it's anger or stress, and so on. And then below that's our full program. It's divided into 5 sections. We call it the 5 circles of wisdom. We begin with all the exercises that are well known to nurture a quiet mind, whether it's being in nature. We have some nature meditations. You know, we're used to going and walking through a wood and talking or listening to music, but never really sitting down with a tree and connecting with it. And the more we can do that and find this oneness with nature, the more we develop this sense of quietness inside us. So then we have breathing exercises and a journaling program, guided audio meditations, and a formal meditation practice. Now, the next 2 sections are things you may not see elsewhere. See, just as for the astronomer, the quality of the telescope determines what's seen in the heavens. For us too, we don't have a telescope. We only have the art of inquiry. We have to use our intelligence to understand ourselves. So we have 9 modules on how we can learn to look at and understand ourselves. For example, how to ask questions, how to look without language, and what are the obstacles to inquiry. Then I was talking about how our mind works. So conditioning, our mind compares all the time. If you're telling me about your amazing car, new car, I'm jealous, and I blame you for my jealousy, but actually it's my process of comparison unconsciously that's making me feel that way. The same with our minds reactive. We have images of ourselves as great surgeons, for example. We operate from self-interest. We have strong identities. I'm Indian, you're Pakistani, I'm Palestinian, you're Israeli. Why do we human beings have so many identities? That question can lead to peace. Or understanding all our unconscious emotional needs can help us with all our relationships. Understanding our inner boredom can bring peace inside. Because no matter how successful you are in the world, one thing that eludes most human beings is that sense of peace inside. And of course, we then explore the nature of the I. The same way we explore our emotions. And then we take this understanding and we apply it to different areas of our life. So whether it's stress, relationships, love, criticism, self-esteem, living with peace, or dealing with death. A lot of people are really frightened of death. And if you can make your peace with that, my goodness, your life can be transformed. How to be happy, how to communicate well, what is success in the world outside, and how to meet failure, to avoid and overcome addiction, to have a healthy relationship with food and money. And then how do you bring this wisdom to work, and how do you use it to be a really great leader? And right at the end, we have this ability to solve global problems using this wisdom, because a global problem is only an individual problem multiplied 8 billion times. So we can use it to tackle racism or climate change, or global health challenges, or end conflict, or transform education. So let me just take you through the leadership module very quickly. You know, every quality that leaders need comes from wisdom, not from education. And yet, and the statistics, you know, they say 70% of American employees are disengaged at work, 30% severely or significantly disengaged. And most of them think that it's the quality of their managers and leadership that is behind that. So we talk about leadership, wisdom, leadership, but let's I'll send you this so you can look at it at leisure. But I'm just going to talk about leadership skills briefly and share this app with you. we have these reflection screens. So the first question is, how do you think you can live with integrity and honesty? Almost everybody you meet will say, yeah, I want to live with integrity and honesty. But if you don't understand the way your mind works and your hidden self-interest operating in the background, you can't do that. So to live with integrity, we need to understand our self-interest, our conditioning, and our fear, all of which operate in the background. Because if you don't understand that, then they will dictate your actions and they will override any thought you put in the way that, oh, I want to be an honest man. And this integrity can be nurtured. So you can either listen to this or you can see the transcript of that there. So it needs careful looking after. You see, once our reputation is damaged, it's really hard to recover. We need to begin by regarding it as the most important trait of leadership. And that's what Dwight Eisenhower said. The supreme quality for leadership is unquestionable integrity. And without it, no success is possible. So if you want to live with integrity, you have to have this deeper self-understanding. And of course, we also have these short videos throughout. So here I have conversations with fairly ordinary people. You and I are the same human being, right?
I'm with Steve.
I don't claim to be
and we're talking
anyone
about
special,
wisdom leadership.
but that, in a way,
Steve,
makes this whole program so beautiful, because you and I are just looking at the same moon together, trying to understand what does it mean to be human.
Help them be better
And that
leaders.
understanding brings its own intelligence and leads to wisdom. This is one of my friends, Steve Twynamy, runs a radio station. So let's talk about communication. Every communication skill, we have a whole module on communication, comes from a deeper self-understanding. Because at the moment, you know how our mind is. We want to be listened to, but we don't have the same need to listen to others. Why is that? And the more you understand that, the better listener you become, the more you understand. For example, in speaking, how often do we not need to say anything? Our mind is always pushing us to say something, but so often keeping quiet and saying nothing at all is absolutely the wise thing to do. So never assume, for example, you've been understood or that you understand others. Always ask questions to clarify. And so that's a great quality that leaders need, which is communication. And of course, delegating to others is not easy, especially if you're insecure yourself. And we have a video on the art of delegation. What about inspiring others? You see, inspiring and influencing people is so important. How can you do that as a leader? And John Quincy Adams said, if your actions inspired you to dream others to dream more, learn more, and do more, then you become a leader. The difference, of course, between a leader and a boss, you know the difference. A boss rules by fear. And if you don't know any different, then, sorry, I'm just going to admit Venkatesh, who's just joined us. If you don't know any different, you're going to use your fear to run your organization. And you're going to make a lot of your employees unhappy, and you're going to be unproductive too. So if you understand your own fear, then you can have courage. By understanding the roots of fear in your thinking, it finds its rightful place as a protective mechanism.
I started it out. I spoke to Mahir. I started it out. There's a problem in my laptop. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So being fearless. So Walt Disney said, courage is one of the main qualities of leadership. And how do you overcome fear? So there's one more, and that's our sort of part one. Part two is how to have successful relationships. We have a whole module on relationships. If a leader doesn't know how to have successful relationships, they can't lead effectively. So the quality and depth of our relationships determine our ability to connect with others, determine how effective a leader you're going to be. And of course, we need to keep learning, as Cheryl Stanberg said.
9 to 10 one did.
Sorry, okay. Just mute someone. Whoever's talking, can you just mute yourself? And this learning, by the way, is not just in the world outside, but also about yourself and how your own mind works. And that's what leads to wisdom and makes you a much better leader. And that's what Robin Sharma said. One of the most important personal leadership skills is self-awareness, not just about your memory and your content, but also about these deeper layers of our thinking. And of course, resilience and the ability to withstand stress comes from a deeper understanding of the nature of stress. Stress originates in our thinking, not from the world outside. So when the challenges come, you can remain calm and focus on the solution. And of course, empathy is crucial, as you know, for all leaders. It's active listening, withholding judgment, and so on. And Barack Obama has this beautiful quote: learning to stand in somebody else's shoes, see through their eyes, that's how peace begins. It's a quality of character that can change the world. And self-acceptance. If you are completely happy and content in yourself, others around you can do the same. And Lao Tzu said, when you accept yourself, of course, the whole world accepts you. So I'm going to just pause there and come out of that. And maybe just take a minute to talk about the affiliate scheme and so on. Because one of the things we want to do is whoever's working with the Human Wisdom Project, we want them to be able to make a living from the project itself. So we've created a number of different ways that's possible. One, of course, is that if you're on our coaching directory, you'll get our clients will come directly to you. But also we have a revenue share arrangement. So if you introduce your clients, we'll share 10% of the revenue. If you introduce an organization, we'll share 10% of that revenue on a recurring basis. If you introduce others, and so on. I'll send you the details. It'll be in a document. It's fairly transparent. And so we are also developing programs for children and teenagers and parents. So we want to create a journey of lifelong learning so that you can start being an excellent human being all the way. It doesn't mean that you don't give up your goals of success and so on. But you know, yesterday I met a young man, well, not so young now. He said he'd been in the corporate world for 30 years and he'd been chasing money, fame, all that. After 30 years, he realized his heart was still empty. And that's when he left and started looking within to see what's going on. And I can tell you, a child will tell you, or 10, if you talk to them, that the way the mind works is we look out there for something to make us feel good in here. That's why we chase success and so on. But all of us on this call know, if you've lived long enough, that that doesn't always happen, or it's very short-lived. So the answer lies inside, and that comes, of course, through wisdom. So what about our coaching program? Well, our India coaching program is scheduled for the 2nd and 3rd of October. It's almost full. We have maybe a few places left. So if you're interested, let me know. But we can always put another program on if there is more interest. But we have one in Australia in September. The American program is in mid-October. And the British program is already completed. So when the app launches, we'll have coaches in 4 corners of the world. So a user, 3 a.m., who needs help can find someone in some time zone that's available to help them. But that wider vision is to take this understanding to the world. So we will create a Human Wisdom Foundation from any income, or we'll allocate a part of our income to that. And we will translate the app to multiple languages, give it to the poor for free, have teacher training academies so teachers can bring this wisdom to education, have a peace foundation, and so on. But I really believe with a passion that if we can scale this understanding, we can bring peace to the world, transform individual lives, and change the future of humanity. Because the understanding, see, it's like this. Once you see something, you can't unsee it. You know, once you realize that, oh my God, I'm attached to all my opinions, but they're not mine originally anyway. They've come from my condition. That attachment immediately ends. See? So, and so on. So there are many, many ways in which this living with this wisdom can be transformative. And it's a journey of learning for all of us. I've been at it for 40 years. So, okay, I'm going to stop talking now. I think I've done my share, and I'm going to open it to questions. So anyone has a question, either maybe Mudit, maybe you can help organize that. Just raise a hand or whatever, and we'll, or if you have a comment, because I think Raymond, you were on the last call. So
yeah, guys, we have a small mature group here. So, just unmute yourself and go. Any questions?
Or a comment. What do you think?
So I have a comment on the app. I've been through it. I browsed a little bit through the app otherwise as well. I love the simplicity of it. So, when you said that some coaches plan to use the app with their clients, that wouldn't surprise me at all, because when I was going through it, it'd be nice to have, this repository of things and they come up in every conversation with people in various forms. So it would be nice to just guide someone there and then have a conversation around what happened for them, what emerged from this, what the reflection was.
Yes. A lot of coaches are thinking, for example, I mean, there are actually some are using it already. So saying, read the anger module today, this week, and let's talk about it together next week.
Yeah.
So, or why don't we start with an exercise for a quiet mind, and let's do a breathing exercise together. Or you can do a journaling exercise. These are 10 questions. I want you to explore 3 questions. I want you to explore them through your journal and share, what you're learning and so on. The other thing, that if you become a wisdom coach, actually you don't have to be a coach on the program, but you could become an ambassador. So with this understanding, you can talk in schools and colleges and universities and organizations and talk about wisdom and introduce this, so to a wider audience. And that could become, not that that's the main reason, because if you're not interested in income, we'll plant trees. Every subscriber who joins, we plant trees for them. But it could become a substantial secondary income through introducing it to, organizations, governments, and so on.
Manoj, this is Shobha.
Hi, Shobha.
I think it's wonderful. Everything you've described, I think works so beautifully with everything else people do with coaching and or just being invested in people in any way. But for people like me who are still with corporate and, we do have our conflict of interest, things to manage. But for someone like that who's interested in contributing, you talked about planting a tree, that makes sense. But is there anything beyond that we can do so that there is no, I sound strange when I say it, if you don't want the money, but you just want to be part of this and you want to use this and be part of this community, is there a way of, are there ways to be engaged?
Shobha, there's so many ways.
Could you speak to a few if you don't mind?
Yes, okay. So firstly, I'm going to give you maybe 1 or 2 ideas. But once we start walking, we'll think of 5 more. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So you can talk about this. You can come on the training program. You don't have to be a coach. You can talk about this in your local community. Go to the local schools, colleges, universities, organizations. Say, hey, look, these are the benefits of living with wisdom. And here is a way we can do that. And I'd like everybody who's on this journey to have a sense of ownership of this project and this app that we're doing. Because, the other day, a 15-year-old girl told me something I hadn't realized. And so it went in the program. So anyone who makes a contribution can immediately join in. So wherever you are, if you embody this wisdom, first of all, in your own life, people will be drawn to you and say, hey, I want a bit of that. Well, how come you're so relaxed and happy and, and so on. So Shobha, there's so many things we can do together. Just drop me an email. We'll set up a conversation and explore it separately.
Thanks for that, Manoj.
Great, Shobha. And, the way I see it is that once people are aligned in values, even between coaches, we can share what's happening and how this is being used and just have some common catch-ups. And because I think the values and, the way you think makes a big difference. So we can build a community, by and by,
Yes.
whatever, once a
Yes.
month, once into 3 months, and just give your ideas, because I think the beauty is that, like Manoj said, that, while it's spread across the whole world, the problems are, I think, the same. I don't think they've changed ever since human beings were there, right? It's just the form, the outer form has changed. And so I'm sure there's lots to learn.
Well, what I might do, Mudit, is just go around one and just ask everyone for a comment or a question, because we've got about 10 minutes. So maybe I'll start with you, Roland, because this is the second time now, and please tell us what you think and if you have a question.
Questions, I have none at the moment, but maybe we can explore when we're having our conversation tomorrow. But as an encouragement to this room, and thanks to Mudit for introducing this program, I think it is so timely in this day and age, how the world is becoming. Wisdom is definitely something that needs to be, can I say, deeply explored, so that it's got to do with self discovery internally, whereby it leads to awareness, and then from there we move on, we inspire others likewise to join us, and then this is how we build upon the momentum. And it is not, if all of us come together from different parts of the world, can you imagine the kind of influence and impact we will see, collectively? So it's a very timely project, and from the day I started bits and pieces, it really excites me every day when I start to think about this project. And I mean, through the materials, through the apps, I think it's user friendly. I think anyone who's holding a smartphone should have no difficulty navigating, and then deriving some goodness and greatness out of it. So we are going to have a very interesting experience and journey together. Thank you.
Francisco, do you have a comment or a question?
No, it was a very interesting app. I haven't tried it, but I do believe that there's a lot of value for the users. I have also another app that I'm using for one of the coaching that a platform that I'm using. But yours is quite complete. More values, more interesting inputs for users at least, and that's one thing it caught my attention. It's quite complete. But yeah.
Okay,
I'd
well,
like to hear
we can
more
always,
about,
as I said, anyone who wants to have a separate one-to-one with me to explore synergies, like I'm talking to Roland tomorrow, be more than happy to get on a call. Subha, you raised your hand.
Yes, Manoj. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for taking time and then explaining how this works. And prima facie, it looks really, really good. And then wholesome is the word I would like to use. Holistic, is the word I would like to use. Yes, definitely, I would be interested in understanding more in depth, so that I can. You mentioned in October you are starting a training session here in India, right?
Yeah. 2nd, 3rd October, there's a training session. It's a weekend, but. So if you're interested, again, as I said, I'm going to email you lots of information after this call.
Yeah.
So please digest it, and then we can continue that conversation after.
Definitely. Is it okay if I WhatsApp you my email ID?
Of course, yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, please do.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
So, or you can, how will you WhatsApp? Are we in touch on WhatsApp?
I do have your number. No, I do have your number. I'm a part of ICF Bangalore group as well. And then I got your number from one of my friends. Who in fact introduced me long before this meeting.
Oh, who was that?
Mala Hemnani. Actually, I was supposed to ping you last week, but I was traveling. I couldn't do that.
Okay. Yeah. Mala's a great friend. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure, thanks. Okay. Who else have we got? Can I share my contact number? Yes, I'll just put it there. Hang on. So I'm based in England. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. All right. So now who else have we got? Richard, Richard, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, not really a question because I've been here a few times now. So I have been through the app, and it's it's amazingly clear, simple. Even I have just got a hands-on experience with one of my clients with it. I was just browsing through with them, and they actually find it very simple and attractive. Once it gets live to use, I believe. And one important point here I would want to what I have realized working with this human wisdom would be, since we are in the coaching arena, we would be experiencing each moment of our life with a lot of awareness, since we have a lot of information, at least pointers hands on, but at times we kind of, sometimes when we are stuck or, in the moment, we actually have a really amazing tool which can at least give you that instant kind of, instant benefit immediately, so that you can just roll over that moment of maybe, of stress or of anxiety or something. It will just give you some kind of stay there. So I think it's pretty amazing, and I'm really looking forward to this and expanding it to, yes, schools and colleges and whatnot. Definitely, yes.
Arun, do you have a question or a comment?
No, I'm certainly very interested. Looked very good, and I'm looking forward to all the reading matter that you're going to send us.
You. Okay. And I look forward to working with you all. Let's see what the main thing is. Let's see what we can do together to make the world a better place. That's the real passion that I have. Okay, Venkatesh, do you have a comment or a question? It's muted. Okay, Dave. Sandeep.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. You explained it very beautifully, and it sounds like it's a very amazing program, and I would definitely be interested to be associated with.
Okay.
But I have, two questions. If you can throw some light on the engagement models that it will be having for different age groups. That is part one. And second thing is how this program is different, apart from the technical angles, like apps based and all, how it will be different from like the Art of Living program, maybe, the inner engineering program.
Yeah, very good question. Let me explain. Yeah. So we have a program for children under 11. We're working with story writers from around the world to write stories for children. They're going to be illustrated. We're doing some conversations. I work in schools with little children, 9, 10-year-olds. They, by the way, have the best wisdom. Amazing. If you look at our transforming education video on the app, you'll see all their voices. How is it different? You see, if I tell you from the beginning of time, people have said, don't be jealous, for example. I don't even know how to not be jealous. My mind is automatically jealous. But so what this program does helps you understand what's going on in your thinking to make you feel the way that you do. Why do you feel stressed? Why do you feel jealous? Why do you feel anxious? So it not only helps you to overcome your stress and anxiety or whatever, but it also helps you to understand why we think in a certain way. The understanding brings deep transformation, which is long lasting. Most people are used to giving you a list of things to do. We don't do that. We say, understand. The understanding brings transformation. DSJ.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Divraj, so that's my
Divraj,
initial.
sorry. Sorry, I
Singh
just
Jubal.
seen
I just write my initials as Devraj Singh Jubal, but my name is Devraj. So very enlightening webinar. Thank you for that. For me, coaching is relatively new. For I'm basically from the I didn't share about my profession. I'm basically from the hospitality sector. So hospitality has been really been hit very hard in this pandemic. And a lot of businesses have shut down, and it's quite terrible. So that's why I think I've more or less wanted to explore about the human psychology and how do we work on our emotions and how do we stay happy and focused, and maybe also at sometimes as a philosophies there's stoicism being stoic. So that would be something, like not getting emotional, taking everything at your own pace and space, right? So that's why I got into coaching. But mainly what I wanted to understand is like your app is nice, and it's as you said, you're going to be sharing the matter via email, and of course it'll take us time to digest all the material which we have to go through. But up here in India, and especially where I live, coaching is a relatively very new term. People don't know what coaching is all about. People are aware of counseling, people are aware of consulting, people are aware of training, but when they say coaching, they said, what are you talking about? Are you like a fitness coach or what? That's what to people's mind, So that is a challenge which I'm having, because I have reached out to people, and especially in the education sector and in the hospitality sector. But I think here in my city, my town, it's going to take some while to reach.
Well, maybe some of the other coaches on our program, Mudit, maybe you could reach out to Devraj for some tips on that. So let me keep rolling. Tarushni.
I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that, Manoj. And I wouldn't want to take much of your time. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity today.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mudit. Actually, you are Dr. Manoj, but you haven't mentioned.
No. Manoj is good. I'm just the same human being you are. That's the main thing to realize.
Great.
We are all the same human being. Tarushni.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All the best.
Do you have a comment?
I think one of the things that I really found interesting in what you were sharing, Manoj, was about the concept of fear that you explained. And when you spoke about the fact that if I understand my fear better, my relationship with other people can automatically improve. I've been working with a set of challenging leaders currently, and I've been coaching them in the process to help them better the relationship. And that was like quite an eye-opener. I think that was one of my key takeaways from the discussion, other than, yes, definitely going through, a little more into the platform and understanding the platform better. So maybe once I'd like to take a look at the platform and see how I can use that for this group of people that I'm referring to, because I think they definitely may need some from there.
We never ask ourselves this question, but how would our lives change if we could live without fear? Without this irrational fear is what I mean. So that's a very, very powerful thing. We just got a couple more.
I even know of a person who's actually working in designing a fear model, and that just came up because you used the word irrational fear. And I know that is part of the fear model that he's designing. So that's interesting to hear that. Thanks very much.
Akshat, you have a...
Thank you, Manoj. I think it was a wonderful session. I really liked the pitch and how beautifully you articulated this entire concept. Like, I've been into mindfulness for many years. You were just walking us through the app, and I could relate to how all these concepts are holding relevance in such times. Obviously, thanks to pandemic, awareness has started building in each and every nook and corner. But what I feel is that since I think that a lot of people will acknowledge that when all the wisdom, when the knowledge in fact is put into action, that's where the wisdom comes into being. So knowledge is one thing, but then real awareness about how would you like to transmit that wisdom is another segment altogether.
Yes.
So I think that that's the area wherein you've literally hit the nail, and I'm really looking forward to knowing more about this initiative and how we can be part of it. Like,
Yes.
I'm a financial planner by profession. Obviously, I've been doing all these things with a specific group of people. But then, like, when we create a community which is inclined towards, like, this concept together, I think that is something which elevates the overall proposition.
Yes. Thank you. Vinayak, Mr. Gokhale.
No comments, Manoj, at this moment. Let's explore, and I'll come back to you.
Thank you. So, Mudit,
I'm in the absorbing mode right now. So
okay, Mudit, I'd leave it to you to wind up.
Yes, just a good word to thank everybody who sort of joined in, and we really look forward to your support, participation in making this a success. I think we all realize that it's probably one of the most critical things, in this time and day and age, and it's really something that's applicable across continents. And so if there's anybody whom you think resonates with you, or on these topics, just feel free to reach out. I mean, the more we add to the bandwagon, so to speak, the more change there'll be, and it doesn't matter whether it's in your own families or your own workplaces or with your friends, or, we can just help anybody, from children to, and wherever you, I just encourage everybody, it doesn't matter, just connect them to Manoj, and, he's doing this full time, and it's really such a pleasure to have somebody who's, taken this up. He could have just continued being a spine surgeon, right, all his life, and added much more. But I think he's realized that it takes a lot more spine to continue on a path like this. And, let's just support him. I think that's the most important thing I like. So thank you for coming in. And
thank you, everybody. And thank you, Mudit, for hosting. And I'll be in touch with everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, and good night.
Yeah, good night to all, and wish you all good health. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Bye. 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 Bye, Pranay.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.